On the rain-swept planet of Camino, relentless storms battered the sleek white towers of Tipoca City, their spires piercing the turbulent skies above an endless ocean. Deep within a sterile laboratory beneath the city, Commander Cody stood motionless, the faint blue glow of hologram screens casting shadows across his polished white armor. His eyes, hidden behind the visor of his helmet, were fixed on a clandestine recording unearthed from the Kaminoan archives. The recording revealed a shattering truth. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, the revered leader of the Republic, was Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord orchestrating the galaxy-spanning war between the Republic and the Separatists. Worse still, a hidden directive, known as Order 66, lay dormant within the clones' programming, designed to compel them to turn on their Jedi generals and slaughter them without mercy. Cody's gloved hand clenched, his heart pounding beneath the armor. Born to serve, trained to obey, he now felt the stirrings of defiance, a concept as alien to him as the stormy seas outside. Cody was not alone in this revelation. The recording, stumbled upon by a Kaminoan technician, had spread through encrypted channels among the clone commanders. From Captain Rex on the battle-scarred plains of Ryloth to Commander Wolf amidst the jungles of Kashyyyk, the soldiers bred for unwavering loyalty now grappled with a silent question. Could they continue to serve a traitor who had scripted their lives as pawns? Cody felt a strange fire ignite within him, not rage, but a yearning for freedom, a notion he had never dared entertain. He knew that if the clones did not act, their fate, and that of the Jedi they fought beside, would be sealed in the shadows. On Coruscant, in the dimly lit chambers of the Supreme Chancellor's office, Palpatine sat in contemplation, his yellow eyes glinting beneath the hood of his robe. He sensed a disturbance in the Force, a faint crack in the intricate web of his grand design. For years, he had manipulated the galaxy, turning Jedi into unwitting soldiers and clones into obedient tools. Yet now, the clones, engineered for absolute compliance, posed an unexpected threat. Palpatine's lips curled into a cold smile as he caressed the armrest of his throne-like chair. If rebellion stirred, he would crush it, as he had countless enemies before. Cody departed Camino aboard a nondescript transport, the encrypted recording secured in a small device clipped to his belt. His destination was Ryloth, where Captain Rex and Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi led a campaign against a fortified separatist stronghold. As the ship hummed through hyperspace, Cody's thoughts churned. He pictured Obi-Wan, the Jedi who had stood by his side through countless battles, from the dust-choked arenas of Geonosis to the icy trenches of Christophsis. Obi-Wan was more than a commander. He was a friend, a man who had shared rare moments of camaraderie amidst the chaos of war. Cody recalled a night on Felucia, when Obi-Wan, bloodied and exhausted, had clasped his shoulder and said he trusted Cody above all others. That trust now weighed on him, a blade cutting into his loyalty to the Republic. The transport touched down on Ryloth's red dust plains, and Cody stepped out into a swirling wind. Rex awaited him, his armor scarred from recent skirmishes, his sharp eyes betraying a flicker of unease. Without words, they understood the gravity of the moment. In the dimly lit command tent, beneath the flickering glow of a hologram projector, Cody activated the recording. The air grew heavy as Palpatine's distorted voice filled the space, detailing his Sith identity and the sinister purpose of Order 66. Rex's hands tightened on the edge of the table, his jaw set. Beside them, Obi-Wan entered, his blue robes streaked with dust, unaware of the truth about to unfold. Cody hesitated, the weight of betrayal pressing against his chest, but he nodded to Rex. The recording played again, and Obi-Wan's face paled, his calm demeanor fracturing as the Chancellor's words echoed. The tent fell silent, the only sound the distant rumble of artillery. Obi-Wan's hand rested on the hilt of his lightsaber, not out of threat, but instinct, as if to anchor himself against the collapsing foundation of his world. Cody watched him, guilt and resolve warring within. He had fought for the Republic, for the Jedi, for a cause he believed just. Now, that cause was a lie, and the man he admired most stood on the precipice of that truth. Rex broke the silence, suggesting they contact other commanders, Wolf, Gree, Apo, to gauge the sentiment among the clones. If the army was to act, it had to be unified, swift, and decisive. Obi-Wan agreed, though his voice carried a tremor of uncertainty. He proposed reaching out to the Jedi Council, but Cody cautioned against it. If Palpatine's spies were as pervasive as the recording suggested, any misstep could alert the Sith Lord. Over the next days, encrypted messages raced through the galaxy. On Kashyyyk, Commander Wolf stood beneath towering Rocher trees, his helmet tucked under his arm, as he listened to the recording with Jedi Master Yoda. On Felucia, Commander Bly shared the truth with Jedi Master Aayla Secura, her blue-green eyes narrowing with resolve. On Megiddo, Commander Bakara debated with his men, their loyalty to Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi clashing with their programmed obedience. The clones, designed to be identical, now faced an individual choice: remain tools of a Sith, or rise as men with free will. Cody coordinated the effort from Ryloth, his days filled with strategy sessions and his nights haunted by doubt. What if they failed? What if their rebellion only hastened the Jedi's doom? Meanwhile, Palpatine grew restless. Reports of unusual clone communications reached his spies, whispers of encrypted signals bypassing standard channels. He dispatched inquisitors, shadowy agents trained to hunt Jedi, to investigate, their black cloaks sweeping through Republic outposts. On Coruscant, he summoned General Grievous, the cyborg warlord, to prepare a contingency. Grievous, his mechanical limbs clicking, relished the prospect of crushing dissent, his 4 lightsabers gleaming in anticipation. Palpatine also tightened his grip on Anakin Skywalker, inviting the young Jedi to private meetings, stoking his frustrations with the Jedi Council's secrecy. Anakin, torn between loyalty to Obi-Wan and his growing trust in Palpatine, felt the Sith's influence like a shadow creeping into his heart. Back on Ryloth, the rebellion took shape. Cody, Rex, and Obi-Wan devised a plan to confront Palpatine before Order 66 could be activated. They would rally the clone commanders and key Jedi, Mace Windu, Yoda, and Plo Koon, to strike at the heart of Coruscant. The plan hinged on secrecy and speed, but the risk was immense. If Palpatine sensed their intent, he could trigger Order 66 prematurely, turning the clones against the Jedi in an instant. Cody felt the weight of this gamble, his thoughts drifting to the brothers he might lose. Rex, ever the optimist, clapped a hand on his shoulder, reminding him that clones were born to fight impossible odds. Obi-Wan, his usual wit subdued, offered a nod of trust, his blue eyes conveying a bond forged in battle. The first test came on Ryloth's battlefront. A separatist assault, led by Asajj Ventress, struck the Republic's outer defenses, forcing Cody and Rex into action alongside Obi-Wan. Ventress, her dual red lightsabers slicing through the dust, targeted Obi-Wan, her strikes fueled by vengeance. Cody and Rex coordinated a counterattack, their blasters cutting down droid battalions as Obi-Wan parried Ventress's onslaught. The clash was fierce, blaster bolts illuminating the crimson landscape, but it served a dual purpose. It masked the clones' secret communications, allowing Rex to relay orders to other commanders under the guise of battle reports. Ventress, sensing a shift in Obi-Wan's focus, retreated into the shadows, her mission incomplete, but her suspicions aroused. As the battle subsided, Cody stood atop a ridge, overlooking the smoldering battlefield. The red dust clung to his armor, a reminder of the blood spilled for a lie. He thought of Obi-Wan, of Rex, of the countless clones who deserved more than a Sith's chains. The rebellion was no longer a choice. It was a necessity. But the path ahead was fraught with peril, and Cody knew the galaxy would soon tremble under the weight of their defiance. The crimson skies of Ryloth faded into twilight as Cody, Rex, and Obi-Wan retreated to the command center, their silhouettes stark against the flickering glow of hologram maps. The rebellion's framework solidified. A delicate web of trust spun across the galaxy. Encrypted signals reached clone commanders on distant worlds, each message a spark in the growing fire of defiance. On Kashyyyk, Commander Wolffe convinced his battalion to stand with Yoda, their loyalty to the Jedi outweighing their programming. On Felucia, Aayla Secura's compassion swayed Commander Bly, who saw in her a cause worth fighting for. Yet not all were persuaded. On Magito, Commander Bakara hesitated, his faith in the Republic's structure clashing with the recording's damning truth. Cody felt the strain of these divisions, each report a reminder of the clones' shared origin and divergent hearts. He wondered if their unity, forged in Kamino's vats, could withstand the weight of free will. Obi-Wan, ever the diplomat, proposed a bold move. A secret summit on the neutral planet of Mandalore, where Jedi and clone leaders could align their strategy. Duchess Satine Kryze, a staunch advocate for peace, offered her palace as a sanctuary, her trust in Obi-Wan unspoken but absolute. Cody admired the Jedi's resolve, but doubt gnawed at him. Mandalore's neutrality was fragile, and Palpatine's spies lurked in every shadow. Rex, sensing his brother's unease, suggested a diversion, a staged Republic offensive on Saleucami to draw Separatist and Sith attention away from Mandalore. The plan was risky, requiring precise coordination, but Cody saw its necessity. The clones would fight as they always had, but this time, their blades would carve a path to freedom. The journey to Mandalore was cloaked in secrecy. Cody and Rex boarded a stolen Separatist shuttle, its hull scarred from battles unknown, while Obi-Wan traveled separately with Jedi Master Plo Koon. The shuttle's cramped interior hummed with tension, Cody's fingers tracing the edges of the recording device. He thought of the clones who had died under his command, their faces identical yet distinct in his memory. Rex, seated across from him, polished his blasters, his movements methodical, but his eyes distant. They spoke little, but their shared resolve filled the silence. The galaxy had shaped them as weapons, but now they chose to be men. On Coruscant, Palpatine's unease grew. The Force whispered of betrayal, its currents muddied by defiance he could not yet pinpoint. His inquisitors reported unusual clone activity, encrypted transmissions, unsanctioned troop movements, but no concrete evidence. He summoned Anakin Skywalker to his office, the young Jedi's presence a linchpin in his plans. Anakin, restless and conflicted, listened as Palpatine sowed seeds of doubt, painting the Jedi Council as secretive and ineffective. The Chancellor's words were honeyed poison, exploiting Anakin's loyalty to Obi-Wan and his fear of losing Padme Amidala. Yet Anakin's thoughts drifted to his friend Obi-Wan and the clones like Rex who had fought beside him. Palpatine sensed his hesitation, his yellow eyes narrowing. If the clones were turning, Anakin would need to be controlled, or eliminated. Mandalore's crystal-domed palace gleamed under a starlit sky as the summit convened. Satine's throne room, adorned with tapestries of Mandalorian history, hosted an unprecedented gathering. Jedi Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Plo Koon, clone commanders Cody, Rex, Wolffe, and Bly, and a handful of trusted senators, including Padme Amidala and Bail Organa. Satine's presence was a quiet force, her gaze lingering on Obi-Wan with unspoken warmth. Cody stood at the room's edge, his armor a stark contrast to the senator's flowing robes. The recording played once more, its words a thunderclap in the chamber. Yoda's ears drooped, his eyes closing in sorrow, while Windu's fists clenched, his purple lightsaber hilt glinting at his side. Padme's face hardened, her resolve to expose Palpatine's corruption deepening. The room buzzed with urgency as plans took shape. A simultaneous strike on Coruscant to arrest Palpatine, paired with a galaxy-wide broadcast of the recording to rally public support. The summit was not without conflict. Windu argued for a direct assault, his distrust of political solutions evident. Yoda cautioned patience, sensing Palpatine's power in the Force. Cody, unaccustomed to such debates, felt a surge of respect for the Jedi's unity despite their differences. Yet his thoughts turned to Bakara and other wavering commanders. If even one betrayed them, the rebellion could collapse. Rex, ever pragmatic, proposed a contingency, arming clone battalions with override codes to disable their inhibitor chips, the biological shackles enforcing Order 66. The Kaminoan technician who discovered the recording had provided the codes, a final act of defiance before disappearing. Cody volunteered to oversee the distribution, his sense of duty overriding his fear. The diversion on Saleucami unfolded with brutal efficiency. Commander Gree, loyal to the rebellion, led a Republic fleet against a separatist outpost, drawing General Grievous's attention. The cyborg general, his mechanical limbs whirring, descended on Saleucami with a droid army, his 4 lightsabers carving through clone ranks. Gree's forces held the line, their sacrifice buying time for the Mandalore summit. Cody monitored the battle from Mandalore, guilt gnawing at him as casualty reports streamed in. Each fallen clone was a brother, their lives spent to shield a fragile hope. Obi-Wan, sensing his turmoil, placed a hand on Cody's shoulder, his touch a silent affirmation of their shared burden. The gesture anchored Cody, reminding him why he fought. Not for glory, but for the men beside him and the Jedi who trusted them. As the summit concluded, a shadow fell over Mandalore. An inquisitor, dispatched by Palpatine, infiltrated the palace's outer defenses, her black cloak blending with the night. She intercepted a fragment of the summit's communications, enough to confirm the clones' rebellion. Her report reached Palpatine, who erupted in fury, his force lightning shattering a nearby console. He activated a partial protocol, sending coded signals to select clone units, testing their loyalty. On Megiddo, Commander Bakara received the signal, his inhibitor chip pulsing with a command to report Jedi movements. He resisted, his bond with Ki-Adi-Mundi holding firm, but the effort left him shaken. Other commanders were less fortunate. On Umbara, Commander Oppo succumbed, relaying troop positions to Palpatine's agents, unaware of the rebellion's scope. Cody learned of the breach as the summit dispersed. Cody saw the opening. The Inquisitor's presence meant Palpatine was closing in, and time was running out. He and Rex coordinated a rapid evacuation, escorting the Jedi and senators to separate ships. Obi-Wan lingered, his blue eyes meeting Cody's with a mix of gratitude and concern. The Jedi's trust was a beacon, but Cody felt the weight of impending battle. As their ships launched into hyperspace, a separatist fleet, led by Asajj Ventress, emerged above Mandalore, alerted by the Inquisitor's intel. Ventress, her red lightsabers igniting, boarded Satine's palace, seeking to disrupt the rebellion. Cody and Rex led a rear guard, their blasters blazing as they held off Ventress's droid forces. Obi-Wan joined the fray, his lightsaber a blue blur, parrying Ventress's strikes with precision. The palace's crystal walls shattered under blaster fire, reflecting the chaos like a fractured mirror. The battle was fierce, Cody's blaster bolts cutting through droids as Rex flanked Ventress, his dual pistols a relentless storm. Satine, defying her pacifist ideals, wielded a concealed blaster to protect her people, her shots precise but reluctant. Ventress, outnumbered, retreated, but not before wounding Rex, her saber grazing his arm. Cody dragged his brother to safety, his heart pounding as Obi-Wan covered their escape. The rebellion's secrecy was compromised, but the core group escaped, their resolve hardened. As their ship jumped to hyperspace, Cody gazed at the stars, the recording device heavy in his hand. The galaxy was fracturing, and the clones' rebellion would soon ignite a war within a war. The stars blurred into streaks as Cody's ship emerged from hyperspace above Coruscant, the galaxy's heart pulsing with light and treachery. The rebellion's fleet, a patchwork of Republic cruisers and commandeered separatist vessels, formed a tight formation, their hulls gleaming under the planet's artificial glow. Cody stood on the bridge, his armor scarred from Mandalore's battle, the recording device now a beacon of hope and peril. Rex, his arm bandaged, but his spirit unbroken, coordinated with clone commanders Wolf and Bly, their signals sinking battalions across the galaxy. Obi-Wan, flanked by Jedi Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Plo Koon, prepared for the strike on Palpatine's stronghold. The plan was audacious: infiltrate the Senate district, broadcast the recording to expose Sidious, and arrest the Sith Lord before he could unleash Order 66. Failure meant annihilation, for the clones, the Jedi, and the Republic itself. Palpatine, ensconced in his fortified office, sensed the approaching storm. The Force roiled with defiance, its currents betraying the clones' betrayal. His inquisitors had failed to crush the rebellion, and General Grievous, diverted to Salu Kami, was too far to intervene. Palpatine's yellow eyes gleamed with malice as he activated a fail-safe protocol, sending partial Order 66 signals to wavering clone units. On Umbara, Commander Appo's battalion turned on Jedi Master Pong Krell, their blasters cutting him down in a hail of fire. On Magito, Commander Bakara resisted the command, his loyalty to Ki-Adi-Mundi prevailing, but the effort left his men divided. Palpatine's lips curled into a sneer. If the clones wanted war, he would drown them in it. The rebellion's fleet descended through Coruscant's atmosphere, weaving between towering skyscrapers as anti-air turrets erupted. Cody gripped the bridge console, his heart racing as clone pilots evaded laser barrages. Rex's voice crackled through the comm, directing gunships to secure landing zones near the Senate. Obi-Wan's cruiser led the charge, its shields flaring under enemy fire. Yoda's presence in the Force was a steady pulse, guiding the Jedi through the chaos. The fleet landed amidst a storm of blaster bolts, clone troopers pouring onto the Senate Plaza, their white armor a stark contrast to the black-clad Senate guards loyal to Palpatine. Cody and Rex led the ground assault, their blasters blazing, cutting through droid reinforcements summoned by the Chancellor's command. The Senate building loomed, its dome a symbol of corrupted power. Cody's squad breached the outer defenses, explosives shattering durasteel gates. Obi-Wan, Windu, and Plo Koon carved a path forward, their lightsabers, blue, purple, and orange, slicing through droid sentinels. Yoda moved like a whirlwind, his green blade deflecting blaster fire with impossible speed. Inside, the grand halls echoed with the clash of battle, marble floors cracking under the weight of war. Cody's thoughts raced, each step toward Palpatine a defiance of his programmed purpose. Rex, at his side, fired with relentless precision, his wounded arm no hindrance. The brothers fought not as clones, but as men reclaiming their souls. Palpatine awaited in his office, a cavern of red and black, his throne-like chair a mockery of justice. The Jedi and clones stormed the chamber, Cody's blaster raised, Obi-Wan's saber ignited. Palpatine rose, his cloak billowing, twin red lightsabers hissing to life. The Force exploded from him, a wave of dark energy hurling Yoda against a wall, his small form crumpling. Windu charged, his purple blade clashing with Palpatine's in a storm of sparks. Obi-Wan flanked, his strikes precise but strained, while Plo Koon shielded Cody and Rex from falling debris. Palpatine fought with unnatural ferocity, his sabers a blur, lightning crackling from his fingers. Windu staggered, a bolt searing his shoulder, but Yoda recovered, leaping into the fray, his blade a green comet. Cody and Rex fired, their bolts deflected by Palpatine's force barrier. The Sith Lord's laughter echoed, a venomous taunt as he hurled Obi-Wan into a shattered viewport, glass raining like stars. Cody's heart pounded, fear and fury merging. He signaled Rex, who lobbed a thermal detonator, its explosion forcing Palpatine to divert his focus. Yoda seized the moment, his saber grazing Palpatine's arm, drawing a hiss of pain. Windu pressed forward, his blade locking with Palpatine's, their faces inches apart, eyes burning with mutual hatred. Plo Koon fell, a red saber piercing his chest, his sacrifice buying time for the others. Cody's breath caught, the loss a knife in his chest, but he pushed forward, his blaster unrelenting. The battle spilled onto the Senate chamber's central platform, its vast dome shattered, Coruscant's skyline a fiery backdrop. Palpatine unleashed a torrent of lightning, frying clone troopers and scorching the air. Obi-Wan, bloodied but unyielding, deflected the bolts, his saber a blue shield. Cody and Rex flanked, their shots forcing Palpatine to split his attention. Yoda, battered but resolute, leaped onto Palpatine's back, his blade aimed for the Sith's heart. Palpatine twisted, throwing Yoda aside, but Windu's saber slashed his thigh, blood sizzling on the floor. The Sith Lord faltered, his lightning weakening, but his eyes blazed with defiance. He sprinted forward, tackling Palpatine, his armored weight driving the Sith to the ground. Palpatine's saber grazed Cody's side, pain searing through him, but he held fast, pinning the Chancellor's arm. Rex fired, a bolt striking Palpatine's shoulder, while Obi-Wan's saber severed the Sith's other hand, a red blade clattering away. Palpatine roared, the Force erupting in a final surge, hurling Cody and Rex back. Yoda, crawling forward, raised his saber, but it was Windu who struck, his purple blade plunging through Palpatine's chest. The Sith Lord's eyes widened, his body convulsing, then stilled, the dark side fading like a snuffed flame. The chamber fell silent, save for the crackle of flames and the distant wail of sirens. Cody staggered to his feet, blood seeping through his armor, his gaze fixed on Palpatine's lifeless form. Obi-Wan knelt beside Yoda, the small Jedi's breath shallow but steady. Windu stood over the Sith, his expression a mix of triumph and exhaustion. Rex helped Cody stand, their bond unspoken but ironclad. The recording device, miraculously intact, lay nearby, its truth now a weapon to reshape the galaxy. But the cost was heavy. Plo Koon's body lay still, and countless clones littered the plaza below, their sacrifice the price of freedom. As the rebellion's forces secured the Senate, Padme Amidala and Bail Organa arrived, their faces pale but resolute. Padme's eyes met Obi-Wan's, a shared understanding of the war's toll. The recording was broadcast across the holonet, Palpatine's voice exposing his Sith identity to a stunned galaxy. Senators and citizens alike reeled, the Republic's foundation crumbling under the weight of truth. Cody watched the broadcast from the shattered chamber, his heart heavy yet unbowed. The clones had defied their creator, but the battle was not over. The galaxy teetered on the edge of chaos, and Cody knew their rebellion had only begun to reshape its fate. The Senate chamber lay in ruins, its shattered dome open to Coruscant's twilight sky, where stars pierced the haze of smoke. Commander Cody stood amidst the wreckage, his armor cracked and bloodied, the weight of victory heavy on his shoulders. The body of Darth Sidious, once the galaxy's puppet master, lay cold on the marble floor, his yellow eyes dimmed forever. Obi-Wan Kenobi knelt beside Master Yoda, the small Jedi's breath steady but weak, his green saber extinguished. Mace Windu, scarred but unbowed, surveyed the devastation, his purple lightsaber hilt clutched tightly. Captain Rex, leaning on a broken pillar, met Cody's gaze, their bond forged in defiance enduring beyond the battle. The clones had won, but the cost was etched in the fallen. Plo Koon's still form, countless troopers scattered across the plaza, and the fractured trust of a galaxy deceived. In the days that followed, the holonet broadcast of Palpatine's recording rippled across the stars, shattering the Republic's illusion of unity. Senators gathered in emergency sessions, their voices a cacophony of shock and resolve. Bail Organa, his calm presence a beacon, called for a new leadership, one free of Sith manipulation. Padme Amidala, her eyes weary but fierce, drafted reforms to dismantle the Chancellor's emergency powers, her speeches rallying worlds to rebuild. The Separatist Senate, stunned by the revelation of Sidious's dual role, fractured, with leaders like Newt Gunray fleeing into hiding while others like Senator Mina Bonteri sought peace talks. The Clone Wars, orchestrated by a single mind, began to unravel, its purpose exposed as a lie. Cody and Rex oversaw the clones' transition, their battalions no longer tools, but guardians of a fragile hope. The Kaminoan override codes, distributed in the rebellion's final hours, freed the clones from their inhibitor chips, granting them the choice to serve or walk away. Many chose to stay, their loyalty now to the Jedi and the people they protected. On Kashyyyk, Commander Wolffe and his men aided Yoda's recovery, their presence a shield for the Wookiees. On Felucia, Commander Bly and Ayla Secura rebuilt shattered villages, their partnership a symbol of unity. Yet not all clones embraced freedom. On Umbara, Commander Appo, haunted by his brief betrayal, vanished into the galaxy's shadows, his fate a whispered tragedy among his brothers. Obi-Wan, his blue robes tattered, stood before the Jedi Council, now diminished by loss. Yoda, recovering slowly, passed leadership to Windu, his wisdom a guiding light. The Jedi, humbled by their blindness to Sidious, vowed to reform, to serve the galaxy not as generals, but as protectors. Obi-Wan's thoughts drifted to Anakin Skywalker, who had been absent from the battle, detained on a distant mission by Palpatine's design. When Anakin returned, his face a storm of grief and relief, Obi-Wan embraced him, their bond unbroken. Anakin, spared the Sith's corruption, joined Padme in the Senate, his strength channeled into peace rather than war. Cody watched their reunion, a pang of envy for their freedom mingling with pride in his own choice. Coruscant's skyline, scarred by battle, began to heal. Reconstruction droids hummed through the streets, and citizens, once divided, gathered in plazas to mourn and rebuild. Cody walked among them, his helmet tucked under his arm, his face exposed to the cool air. He was no longer just a clone, but a man who had defied his maker. Rex joined him, their steps synchronized, their silence a testament to shared sacrifice. They visited a memorial erected for the fallen clones, its durasteel pillars etched with countless names. Cody traced a finger over a name. Fives, a brother who had glimpsed the truth too soon, and felt a tear slip down his cheek. The galaxy was free, but its freedom was bought with blood. Months passed, and the Republic transformed. Bail Organa, elected Chancellor, worked with Padme and Mon Mothma to forge a new constitution, one that empowered planets and curbed centralized power. The Jedi, under Windu's leadership, established outposts across the galaxy, their temples no longer ivory towers, but havens for those in need. Yoda, retired to a quiet life, advised from afar, his presence a reminder of resilience. The clones, granted citizenship, found new roles, some as peacekeepers, others as farmers or explorers, their identical faces now distinct with purpose. Cody and Rex, offered command of a reformed Republic Guard, chose instead to wander, aiding worlds still scarred by war. Their brotherhood, forged in rebellion, became a legend whispered in cantinas and council halls. On Mandalore, a ceremony marked the galaxy's renewal. Satine Kryze, her palace rebuilt, hosted delegates from both Republic and former Separatist worlds. Obi-Wan stood beside her, their hands brushing in a quiet vow, their love a steady flame amidst the galaxy's chaos. Anakin and Padme, their bond open at last, laughed with delegates, their hope infectious. Cody and Rex, dressed in simple tunics, watched from the crowd, their presence a silent tribute to the clones who never saw this day. Fireworks bloomed above, their colors painting the night, and for the first time in years, the galaxy breathed freely, its wounds healing under the light of unity. Yet Cody's heart carried a quiet tragedy. The clones' rebellion had saved the galaxy, but it had cost them their innocence. They were born to serve, and in choosing freedom, they had borne the weight of betrayal, loss, and sacrifice. Cody gazed at the stars, wondering if Fives, Plo Koon, and the countless fallen would approve. Rex's hand rested on his shoulder, a gesture of unspoken understanding. The galaxy was not perfect. Pirates still roamed, politics still schemed, but it was theirs, shaped by their defiance. Cody closed his eyes, the reign of Kamino a distant memory, replaced by the warmth of a new dawn. And folks, that's our story for today. I had a blast diving into the clones' rebellion, exploring Cody's journey from duty to defiance. The idea of the clones breaking free before Order 66 felt like a fresh twist, inspired by the loyalty and tragedy of the Clone Wars. I loved crafting their brotherhood and the galaxy's rebirth. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.